Start your day with a positive affirmation and intention. Since 1924, Daily Word Magazine has offered inspiration and practical teachings through daily prayer messages to help people of all faiths. Your subscription includes 2 months of daily affirmations, articles, and spiritual poetry to keep you inspired and motivated. Check out the digital subscription package that includes the online magazine with audio, smartphone app, and daily email. Get your subscription today. Visit dailyword.com or unity.org.
You're listening to Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Learn the language of spirit. This is The Intuitive Life with Laura Wooster.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to The Intuitive Life, where we walk together and support each other on the path to becoming more spiritually aware, enlightened, and inspired. My name is Laura Wooster, and we will be taking your calls today in the second half of the show. And just so you know, we're looking for questions related to the topic that we'll be talking about today with my guest. And that topic today is Soulful Manifesting. And my guest today is, I want to get right into this because we could talk about this for hours. This is going to be a great topic, so stick with us for a bit here. But my guest today is evidential spiritual medium and spirit artist, Joseph Shiel. And I'm going to bring him right on. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Laura. Congratulations.
Hi, welcome.
On the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad to have you on. And I know because you're a medium, a lot of people are expecting you to talk about, spirit communication, mediumship, and things like that. But but you're much more than that. You're also a spiritual teacher. And and the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because you recently offered a series of classes on manifesting, and I heard so many good things about this, and I just wanted you to share this with my listeners. I think it's really important. But before we get to that, what I'd like to do is, I know you've kind of lived 9 lives in your lifetime. You've lived many different different lives, in addition to being an evidential medium. But how did you get? Just so for people who don't know who you are yet, how did you get into this work?
Well, how did I get into it? I suppose through calamities of life that brought me here, through just trying to find myself and trying to find what to do in the world. I used to have a large business, and I was always spiritual when I was young and when I was a kid, and things were happening back then. But as you grow, you kind of have to put those aside, or you're told to put those aside. And I listened to everybody else, and started the business and everything else coming out of college, and I really wanted to go on to graduate school to do some other things, but I ended up starting my own company and building that company pretty well. And then from there, I just wasn't happy. I just wasn't okay, and things started to come apart like a cheap watch. And I began to say, what more is there? And as I began to get into a new part of my life, I started to see that it was more worthy to help others. I started to work with, I went back to church, basically. I went back to church of my upbringing, after trying many, many other religions and many other scenarios in life, from the time I was a teenager in Southeast Asia to coming back and trying different denominations of Christianity, Judaism, that type of thing, and different things that I looked into and tried. I found them all wanting. I found that there was something more that I needed to know and I needed to find. And I went to work for Habitat for Humanity, and that helped me to put me in a situation where it was, pretty tough work and a tough hood, and it brought some of my own things up in my face, some of my own misconceptions, some of my own ridiculousness, some of my own ignorance about the world, and it made me look harder at the world. And it made me begin to see that, if I was going to travel and I was going to learn the world, then I needed to learn that everybody mattered and everybody was good, and I needed to find the goodness in people. That forced me further to explore more. And from there, I began with a couple of other guys. We started doing a lot of work in the rural areas of Kentucky and downtown places, and places like Rochester that at that point in time had a huge high murder rate and gang situation and things like that. And the only way I could see out of all these problems was to build bridges between people and to build an understanding between people. And so I began to really write a lot more poetry, write a lot more scenarios that I since put away. But I've been trying to think of how can I get to people's hearts and souls and really help them see the value of life, the value of the world, the value of each other. And from there, I was called by a community to become a permanent deacon in the Catholic Church. So I went off to graduate school at Colgate and St. Bernard's Institute to become a permanent deacon. After being there for some years, I really started to see that I didn't think I could go on with the allegiance to the cloth, if you will, to follow the bishop's word, if you will. So, and things happened with me. I started to have things happen, like the spirit drawings were coming through very, very rapidly. So I looked into that more, and lots of people, other priests, the deacons I knew, the rabbis I knew, psychiatrists, psychologists, whatever, said, you really have some kind of a talent here. You really need to reach for more. And I said, I always do. I do it in my music. I do it in my poetry. And they said, no, this is something even more so that you need to look into. So I began to really chase what was going on with me. And in the process, I found a lot of people that had lots of talent, and I found a lot of people that had lots of problems and lots of troubles. And I just said, I think this is what a higher source or a God wants me to do. And so today, I wake up every day and say, God, what do you want me to do? And I try to follow that. I don't try to do what Joe wants to do. I constantly want to do what Joe wants to do, but there is a place for me there. And so it brought me into this work heavily, and I started to learn as much as I possibly could and devour as much as I could. And then I share it wherever I can. And that's what brought me into everything.
So just so people know, when you talk about spirit art, that's you're literally drawing people from the spirit world.
Correct.
Without seeing a photograph. Yes, which is quite amazing. If you've ever seen him do this work, you know it's amazing how you've never seen a photograph of your loved one, but he'll be speaking on behalf of your loved one, and as he's drawing a picture of them. Amazing work. So the connection you have with spirit is just astounding to me. It just blows me away.
But I do want not to burst anybody's bubble that's in spirit art, but I am going to offer spirit art course soon. But the fact of the matter is technology today is just incredible, and there's things on the horizon that within a couple of years, 2 to 5 years, I'd say, any medium will be able to sit there with the computer program, and the picture will be drawn for them, almost photographically real. It's just amazing. So things are really happening. Yeah. So. Anyway.
Oh my God! Have you seen this already? Or are you just
I've already seen it already. Yeah, I've seen it already. It's just going to be incredible. You can be a stick figure drawer, and you're just going to be able to draw like 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. But when you start to give description and you start to talk about the spirit on the other side, and you give the essence and the feeling of that person, all of a sudden the actual idea, that intelligence of the computer pulls it all together and starts to kind of manufacture the picture on the screen. It's incredible.
Oh, I cannot wait. I can't wait. I can't tell how many times I've been sitting here in my office. Yeah. And I said, I wish I could show you what I see in my head.
Is technology and science is coming back together with faith and with the we're talking about manifesting, really, it's about bringing all of that, the physical world and the unseen world, together, because that's the way it was, centuries and centuries ago, thousands of years ago. There was the human being trying to make a tool or trying to make the process, but beyond that, before that, was the imagination, it was the intellect, it was the thinking, and what do we need, how are we going to make it, and all of that coming together, and people coming together to make it work and make it right. So we're still struggling, obviously, as human beings, but we're getting to a place where it's just incredibly incredible things are about to happen. So anyway.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. So for anybody who might be hearing this word being used in this way, I think, well, some of us have heard of the law of attraction, and some of us have heard of manifesting what you want from life. What is your definition of manifesting? I know.
I would.
We got time.
It's funny. You've heard law of attraction, and it sounds like, when am I going to get a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever the case may be?
Right.
And what we want really wants us, and that is true. What we want in the universe, what we put our mind to, really is where our focus and where the energies start to come together, and they start to come as one and join each other. Now, figuring out what that is and what our choices are and how that's going to be, and working that through is quite a process. And it's quite a process of getting ourselves kind of out of the way, learning ourselves completely so that we know ourselves completely. And manifesting is really, it's a very private, intimate conversation with our higher self, with the cosmic soul, if you will, with that which is the creator, the God, if you will, the big cheese, if you will. That is a private and intimate conversation of, this is what I want in my life. This is what I try. Now, what we might get exactly what we want, and we better be careful what we ask for, because what we ask for may be not exactly aligned with who we are, unless we take the time to really find who we are and align that which is really most beneficial for us to see this life in its genuine greatness. So we can, I can manifest a Maserati, but then I might not know how to drive the damn thing. So all of a sudden I'm, flying all over the road and I'm getting hurt.
Right.
Or I can manifest something that is necessary, that's needed, that gives me peace, that brings me to serenity, that brings me a calmness in my life. So there's not, and even if I want the excitement, it brings an excitement to the point where it's not dangerous to my being, that it's actually uplifting and gives out the energy to others to uplift them as well. It's when that happens that it really comes together. So I would say this is more of, I use manifesting as a soul journey. It's like walking through understanding and coming to know one's own soul so well that we cherish it and we take care of it and we choose rightly by it, so that we're not hitting the walls and hitting the edges and finding ourselves in tears, sad tears. We see even the changes in the things that happen on life's terms, such as death and sickness and horror that are around us. We see them as part of the greater whole, and we begin to see life in a way that we can really put the pieces together to formulate a place for us that is helpful for the entire world, helpful to everyone we meet, that helps change the world for the better. And for me, I think the word alignment comes into mind the most to my own reality or my truth. So being true to oneself is really the struggle, because we're so separated. We come into this world and immediately we're separated. We're not the soul anymore. We're now this physical thing. So the boy or the girl, or we're tall, we're short. We have one's quicker than the other. One's richer than one's poorer. And on all these separations, one's black, one's white, and all of a sudden we're being pulled apart and distinctively different. And although those differences are actually advantages to the whole and necessary for the whole to come together and learn what love is, it pulls us apart, tears us apart, and we end up feeling lonely or lacking, or we concentrate on our failures instead of on what our successes can be. And we end up just basically all the hurt in our life ends up because we're almost self-destructive in a way. We almost find the hurt and horrors of our own being because we're looking at the separateness instead of the likeness, the oneness, the togetherness in things. So, this is a unity radio we're on, and unity
Right.
really, I love that word because it's powerful. It's powerful if you think about it. Unity means that we all pick up our part and we do it, then things become quite beautiful. But if we don't, if we choose different, if we choose to be different, if we choose to find those separations, it becomes quite ugly.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
So let's just say, like, for example, if someone was introduced to manifesting as the popular version of it, the one that's, the law of attraction version, and
Right.
they want to take that leap to the step that you're talking about, going from a soul level, what's for the highest and best of everybody. Obviously, that's a process. It's not something you can just turn a switch and make happen. What can you suggest to someone to move from sort of the ego manifesting to the soul manifesting?
Well, ego is a wonderful word that came around in, I think, the 1960s or something like that. It's really not a very old word, but really what it means is the unnecessary self. And we are using parts of ourselves that are just unnecessary. It's just not, it doesn't help us at all. It looks for the differences. It looks for those things that estrange us from others. And if I were to explain it to someone who's kind of, hoping to get something, and then if they get it, they're all happy and they start to brag about being the manifester. Well, look at me, look what I got. I was positive thinking and look what I got, And I see a lot of that. I see a lot of the trainings like that and things like that. And, you're going to be the best broker, you're going to be the best whatever. And that positive thinking certainly is getting us hyped up into that positive thinking. But does it fulfill the totality of sincerity and serenity and peace in your life? Or does it get you the next paycheck? Or does it get you the next boyfriend or girlfriend or next date or your husband or whatever the case may be? And you don't see fully down the line the totality of a life well lived. So all our pain, all our mistakes, all these things, even if you're in a position like that where that's what you've been doing and it's worked sometimes and other times it's just slammed you down, all of that is necessary in part of building or making it painful enough for us to seek more, to seek the highest and best and the better. And one of the ways that manifesting comes about is in the beginning, in the beginning where particles could not produce particles. Particles were produced by energy, and energy together through sound, the music of existence itself, brought that energy and sound to begin to create particles, and particles became the molecules, and molecules became and so on and so forth. So at the basis of everything, there is an intelligence or a design that brings into existence those things that we all need or want or invent. And so we can be the co-inventor. Where we make the mistake is we think we are the inventor. We think we're the only ones. We think we're, this doesn't happen to anybody else. This can't happen to me. I can't have that. That can only happen to, Bill Gates or something. That can't happen to me, and that's just not the truth. We are all deserving of everything that there is, but we must be discerning about what is best for us and what it is we truly want. And one of the ways we do that is through what I said before is an intimate conversation with our higher self, with the higher being, with the universe. And if we're having an intimate conversation, it means we're not sharing that necessarily with others. And we've had a lot of different types of manifesting programs over thousands of years. It's nothing new, but people have marketed it over the last, half a century in different ways that have come out wonderfully. There's been some great teachers, and there's been some not so, and there's been things like, I think the biggest thing in the past century is The Secret. It's called The Secret, and the wonderful work of stuff that's out there and sold, and CDs, tapes, or books, whatever the case may be. But one of the things that I found lacking in that is that you're supposed to keep it a secret. And if you don't keep it a secret, if you tell somebody I'm manifesting a new Maserati, well, guess what? You're not getting it. Because somewhere along the line, someone's going to look at you and they're going to squint, or they're going to give you a bad face, and they're going to say, "Oh, really? You're going to get them?" Sure you are, Or you tell mom and dad, or you tell hubby or the sister or the brother or whoever, you tell your friends around tea, and you say, I'm going to buy that big house on the hill. And they go, "Oh, really? Oh, that's nice." And all of a sudden, that negativity and that little glitch, or just that nasty face, derails the whole manifesting. It takes it right off the tracks. And we're no longer aligned, and now we're lost. And now we don't know how to get back there. And now we look at, why can't I? And we start to think in terms of, why can't I? Oh, geez, I really want to. Why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? And we change our focus to negativity, and we change our focus to being right off the track, and we'll never get there. And we wonder why, because we know we wanted it. We know that's what we're thinking, but we're not keeping our thinking aligned with what brings us peace, with what is our heart, with what is really. In other words, we're too busy trying to convince everybody else what's good for us, or we're too busy trying to convince everybody else what's right, because we think that's what they want of us, instead of doing what we truly want for the sake of all. And when we do that, we start to feel more aligned, and things don't get derailed. Things actually begin to come into place quite well.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because I'm like, as I'm listening, I'm like, how does having a Maserati create the best for everybody?
Well, maybe bad example, but how does a Maserati create the best for everybody? If it's like if somebody really wants that Maserati, or the Lexus, or the fancy car, let's call it that way, the fancy whatever, okay? And they want that, and that's going to bring them true peace. And through that abundance in their life, they're willing to give away. They're willing to give more. They're willing to uplift others and have them make it as well. Then you start to see a movement in the direction of pulling people up from where they are, and teaching them how they did that, bringing them to a place where they can have the abundance in their life too. You see, the Maserati, or the big house on the hill, or any bauble or a trinket here is actually meaningless. It actually means nothing. It doesn't affect our breathing. It's just the way it is. What really means something is, have you been kind to somebody today? Do you have joy in your heart? Can you live rightly? Could you feel like you're living an honest and true life? Or are you really going astray? And some people say, well, why do so many bad things happen? There's the old book of why do bad things happen to good people, that type of thing. And there's lots of those questions in our lives. And I had somebody in the class even ask me, how does losing my son, how is that, how is that God helping me,
Exactly.
And that's a tough question, isn't it? That's like, oh, geez, I really want to go there. I really want to go and answer that question. But the fact of the matter is you're talking to somebody who screamed and yelled and bargained with God back when I was 9-10 years old, when my mother was sick with cancer and I didn't get to see her. And I screamed at God and I said, God, why are you doing this? Can't you take me instead? Can't you take my little sister instead? It's a
Yeah.
terrible guy that I am, So I was going through these gyrations of begging God, doing the foxhole type prayers. This relationship with God was, you do for me. You do for me. What are you doing for me today? And this constantly keep my mother here. And unfortunately, my mother met her maker, and she left when I was 12. And threw my whole life into a dizzy and into a real heavy time in my life. Now, I've probably been trying to crawl out of that for quite some time. However, I look back at it now and I see the beauty in it. And somebody says, beauty in that? I said, yes, I see the beauty even in death. Because look at what it forces all of us to do. Look at what it forces us to look at. Look at the moments in life that we waste, that we don't pay attention to. That laughter, that joy, that little tickle, that little hold, that hug that we got, that we just didn't even pay attention to. We were too busy worried about the Maserati, or worried about something else. And so we begin to see the beauty even in this thing, that everything exists and continues to exist. It's not like my mother's anywhere else but right here. However, in a different form. However, I am forced then to, in my pain of that, and I like to call pain God's guardrails. I've quoted that for years, but pain is pain is like, oh, could you come back on the road? Could you come this way? Could you do what's true and right for you?
Okay, we're going into the break, so I'm going to come right back in 3 minutes, everybody. So if you have a question for Joe, 816-251-3555. Stay tuned.
Discover the power within. Unity Online Radio. The voice of an awakening world.
Welcome back to The Intuitive Life with Laura Wooster.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Intuitive Life. And my guest today is medium Joseph Shiel, who's also not only an international evidential medium, a spirit artist, teacher, and mentor, but he also he does teach mediums as well. He's a wonderful mediumship teacher, but he also teaches people manifesting and how to live a more soulful life. And that's what we're talking about today, is soulful manifesting. So one of the things we were talking about over the break, Joe, was let me just say, I wanted to mention your website, josephshiel.com, in case you want to check in on his website, and also subscribe to his newsletter. So when he offers his next manifesting class, you definitely want to take it. I heard so many amazing things about it. I can't even tell you. It's literally, and I don't say this thing lightly when I say this either, but the words life-changing has been used to describe his class, and I'm not using that lightly. Okay, so go to his website, josephshiel.com. It's SHIEL, and then subscribe to his newsletter so you know when the next class is being offered. But one of the things we were talking about, Joe, over the break was, when someone says, well, how did I manifest getting ill? How did I manifest getting cancer? Like you sort of alluded to that. Why did someone in your class had said, why did I lose my son? When people get into that space, what can you offer them with that?
Well, it's difficult to see anything else in life when you're going through that kind of a tragedy or that kind of a difficulty, and things are you're up against the wall, and you're feeling the pain of life, and you're feeling the unfairness of life. But it's right in that unfairness that we begin to see the separateness. And when we begin to see the separateness, we are separating ourselves. When we separate ourselves from others, we begin to separate ourselves from God, and from the higher source, from what we can manifest to. And so we have to understand that we recognize that we are one with everything. everything. There's nothing around you right now or in the room, from the unseen molecules in the air to the physicality of some plastic thing across the room to the desk in front of you, the telephone you're using, the computer you're using. There's nothing you're not a part of. That we are part and parcel of all that energy and all that stuff. And that we begin to see our role in that, and we begin to manifest even the healing from those types of things. And I have seen people, and I've been with people, unfortunately, that, it's been painful, but I've been with people through their hospice situations. I've been a hospital chaplain, and I've watched young people go through an operation and not go well, and have only hours to live with nothing more to do. They're not going to play another game. They're not going to do anything else. And the parents are in the room looking to the chaplain, if you will, to say something. And all I can do is say, if you saw the beauty in this, they saw the beauty in the greater good for everyone, the greater challenge of all of us, to say we're only here for a few short years. We're only here for, the 60, 90, maybe 110 if you're lucky, or like my grandmother, 106 years, and we're here. But that's a snap of the fingers in the avenues of time. It's what we do with this time that's important, and how we manifest a calmer, more light of things. Did we bring that into our life? Did we bring that sickness into our life? Well, we can look back at stress. We can look back at things. We can look back right now at everybody who's suffering right now and sick. Is there something society could have done better? Is there something our leaders could do better? Is there something the scientists can do better, that we're caught up in the middle of a pandemic that we don't understand? Sure, there is. There's more that all of us can do. And so what we do is we take responsibility for ourselves and for what we can do in this day. If I go out, I wear my mask. Why is that? Well, I don't understand it all. I'm not a scientist, but I get it. I get it. So I try to do the best we can. There's no looking back will constantly bring us back. It's like picking a scab. When you go to pick the scab, you just make it sore. You might infect it. You might make it worse. So what we do is we go from where we are and say, that was the experience then. This is what I want. And manifesting is about moving forward. It's about choosing peace in whatever situation that might be. So including if I were to have cancer, which I have had in the past, I don't choose to wallow in it or hate it or beat it up or play the victim. I choose to find my peace in it somehow and through it. And I try to look through it to a better day. And I have known many people who have come through it. And I've known people who haven't, but I understand that they too have greater works to do. So
yes.
Hope that
I love how you
helps.
said that. Yes, absolutely.
It's a very short time to answer a very complicated, long question. But
I know there's a lot. I could talk about this.
No, but it's as simple as embracing the ultimate love of your own soul. It's that simple. And is that easy to do? No, we complicate the daylights out of it.
Yes, we do.
So.
We do.
And we're grateful
human.
for everything, no matter what. Just being grateful for everything that comes along, no matter what. If I have something terrible happen to me, I have to say, okay, it must have been for a reason. It must have been something better is coming, because I didn't manifest that to happen, but because that happened, something even better will come to light. And it's that continuing looking forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Looking forward. Beautiful. We have callers who have been waiting for a while, so I definitely want to get to them because I know they have questions. And so let's jump to Maria. Hello, Maria. Thanks for calling.
Hi.
Thanks for holding.
Hi, Maria.
Thanks for holding on for so long.
I'm a first-time caller, so I'm listening.
Welcome.
I'm trying to do everything you just said. I'm dealing with a lot of health issues. I have been dealing with abusive, narcissistic family, and I still live with them. And while they're helpful and I'm very much appreciative, and some days I'm in a better mindset, I'm learning to take care of myself better, but then other days I am just tiptoeing, constantly on guard and stressed out to where I hold my breath, and then it makes my health worse and just can't function, literally. And it's just so over controlling with them that I don't know how to let it go in a better way more quickly if I'm not able to voice my upset, my irritation, or my rights to have healthy boundaries and function and not be heard. And so I've been trying new meditations. I've been trying to learn more powerful words to tell myself, but I just can get into a space where and nothing's working. And I need to master this so I can live my life again, because I've turned myself off to appease everyone who's been around me that's been abusive, to where I barely exist. And so I'd appreciate any help if that all makes sense, because it's much more complicated than that. But I know I need to move, and I can finally get myself to a place to move. It's still a process, so I still have a lot of things to go through in a very small space, and still dealing with them.
Good, a lot. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what Joe has to say, where you can begin. We'll go from there. Okay.
Thank you, Maria, and I'm sorry for your situation, but the same token, I'm going to say to you that one of the things you said just throws up all kinds of red flags, and that is that I'm doing things to appease them, and that's the first recipe for disaster. This is about you and your maker. This is about you and your higher source, your higher self. This is about aligning yourself with them. It doesn't matter what other people want. If you look for your peace and you search for your peace and your higher self, then they will get what they need from you, and they will get exactly what they need. They may not need appeasement or be good behavior or anything around them, because that may not help them make the changes they need to make in order to see their true self. People are allowed to be jerks. They're allowed to be idiots. They're allowed to be dumb and not strive for anything more. And they're allowed to do that. And then we all complain about it. But in the fact of the matter is if we tell them, no, that's not okay. That's not the way I want to be treated. That's not the situation I'm in right now. Then we begin to take some of our own power back. We need to know what we are powerful over, and what the power we have within us, and the fact that we're part of this whole universe, and that we understand the power of powerlessness. We cannot change other people necessarily by arguing or getting into the heat of things, or pushing them around, or appeasing them, or making things nice and all this other stuff, because it just creates more confusion. It makes more separation, and it makes a bigger mess, if you will. And it might calm down for a few minutes, but again, it's this jumping from that few minutes to what is the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that you need your peace, and you need less stress. The stress, I'm not a doctor, but, I know in my own life, my stress is what makes me sick. And if I get all caught up and stressed out and forget the fact that I am one with the universe, and that I have a higher source that truly does want to bring me peace, the peace I want, and love, and bring that love to me, then I must love. And so for those who upset me or hurt me or find fault with me or continually correct me on things and things like that, some of those people that have been my biggest pain in the neck in my life are actually a soul-given gift to me. Why? They've pushed me to the brink of that guardrail that I told you about, pain. Just take a harder look at myself and say, is this really necessary? Do I really want this in my life? Am I going to really allow other people to treat me like this? And so they are actually this soul brother or sister that is a beautiful thing in my life, because they're illuminating the truth. The truth is I don't need to do all that. I need to choose what I need to choose, and that is peace and health and well-being for the time I have in this physical form, so that I can find that peace along the way, even during my old age or, whatever happens along the way. And that can be hard in different situations if we get caught up in the weeds and we get caught up in the woods. But what I'm asking you to do and suggest you to do is kind of adopt an eagle's eye, get above the woods so that you can see the path. Don't dwell in the minutia and difficulties of the family situation or the doctors or whatever else. Get above it and say, okay, how can I see this as a more peaceful path in my life? And how can I breathe this through? And if that's the case, I begin to dream, I begin to act as if, and I begin to look for what I want in my life. I begin to visualize exactly the way I want things to be. And they may not be that way today or tomorrow or the next day. But what you think, therefore you will become. Thoughts are things eventually, and they will. And if you stay with it, then you will shift everything to that point. And other people will eventually give up their fight, give up their, or they'll go away. And either way is okay, because that's what was meant to be in the first place, to have you in the place of peace. And hopefully, I pray for them to find theirs. I pray for my family and family around me that may not always make things so pleasant for me. Pray for them to find their own truth. They may be caught up in the constructs or the difficulties of this world, and every, right is might, and the one with the most toys wins, and all this other stuff. Which if that's let go and that's not the struggle, then abundance comes in a more pure way and in a more appreciated way. It's not just there as look, hey, look at me, look what I got. It's, hey, look what I have, and it's of no matter to me. I can share it with everyone. So I hope that helps a little bit. I know it's such a brief answer for such a long haul, but I think if you continue to look for the love within you and pray for others no matter what, even if they're being the hardest on you, I think over time, if you pray for them every day, because we're talking about a soul sickness. We're not talking about, you may be physically ill, but the people around you that are not catching on, who they're not getting it, that's a sickness of the soul. That's a blindness of what truly is love in the midst of them.
True.
Okay.
Beautiful. I know, Maria, it's kind of hard to see the forest for the trees, when you're amongst chaos. And so what I'd recommend is, like, this podcast is being recorded. So whenever you feel like things are out of control, just if you can come back to this part of the podcast and listen to Joe's words again, I think that will help to sort of lead you through that. I hope that helps.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks, Maria. All right. Take care. All right, we got a couple more callers I'd love to get to. Jennifer, you've been hanging on for almost an hour. Thank you so much for your patience. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. This is a perfect topic. This has been on my mind for quite a while, so I'm so glad to jump on. I'm curious to know, when we're looking for opening our path into a more meaningful way, and the avenues we've taken, information we've sought, knowledge, as far as knowledge or assistance, and it seems that the doors are not opening. Not that they're totally closing, but after searching for a while and not seeing things open, I'm wondering what you suggest to do.
Well, hello, Jennifer. Thanks for calling. I think, I'm not sure what the topic is or what the exact the thing is you're trying to manifest, but it is your manifestation. It is what you want, and you need to keep it a secret. You can't share it with others. You've got to really kind of keep it and then make the adjustments as needed. We act as if, and we look for things to happen in such a way as to have it come forth. And when things happen that make it not happen, we have to look at the value in that too, because it's not like, oh, we just got beaten, or we just got cheated out of this, or we just got hurt that way. It's like, that was one path we probably shouldn't have gone down. And it may be the blessing in disguise, if you will. So we need to kind of adjust and say, what's the adjustment we need to make? How many different paradigms can I look at this from? Maybe I need to get behind this. Maybe I need to spend a little time in meditation and in an altered mind, and listen to the music behind this, and see where do I want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Where do I want this to end? When I look back at my life, one of the exercises I think that would be really powerful for your listeners and for Jennifer here is to, like, it's an old one from way back when, but it's if you kind of go and you've been asked to do a speech back at your high school, to the graduating class of 2000 whatever, and you're 93 years old. And now, in a short 20 minutes of your speech at the graduation for these kids coming out of high school, what are you going to tell them about life and how to live it? What really is important? What really is going on? And how did you build this company or this center or this lifestyle of yours in a way that it worked? And what happens is we look through and we begin to see life, and we see the mistakes, we see the things well before we even hit them. And so we can kind of see the end of the trail and the beginning of the trail, and we kind of put it together. So I believe that sometimes we need to kind of get out of the box of just, struggling through, and relax for a minute, to breathe for a minute, and let the universe bring it to you. You're the sounding board. You're the canvas that the universe is painting upon. But if you don't allow yourself to be the instrument of that piece, then the piece won't come. You're continuing force and push and push and push. Manifesting is about aligning and easing yourself one step at a time into what is coming next. So, in my opinion, I wouldn't give up. I would just adjust. Thanks.
And when we're looking for a more meaningful, let's say, career path, and we're not sure what that would be, but we know what we're doing is not what we want, do we not get it because we're not clear on what exactly it is?
Sometimes that could be true, Jennifer, where you're confused. And sometimes if we make a decision, we're off the fence. If we keep going one way or another, we're on the fence. It's a very uncomfortable place to be. But you can put your mind to something new and begin to focus on something new while still maintaining the 9 to 5, if you will. And you begin to act as if you begin to put it more and more in your life until such time as you see the freedom to move forward. And when you do, you'll know it. You'll know it quite well. And then you'll take that leap of faith. And maybe it'll be a few peanut butter sandwiches in between, but things will get better because you're true to you. And that's what's important. Okay?
And the manifestation part, so if we're looking for what we could do, how do we gain more knowledge on that? Or do we have to know something specific to actually get the manifest? Can we ask, soul guide me to what is best for me?
You definitely could. You can definitely meditate on what is right for me. And I would use a mindful type meditation where you watch all the things in your life go by and do not judge. It's almost like watching life's events as a parade. And you're sitting on the sideline, you're on the sidewalk, with the balloon man, and you're watching the parade go by, and do not make a decision on what's best and what isn't, or what's the best float and what's the bad float. I'm going to watch everything in my life, everything I've ever thought of, go by during my mindful meditation. And then when I'm done with the meditation, I'm going to breathe, and I'm just going to say, what did I like from that meditation? What annoyed me that I really don't want to be a part of? And then I start to put pen to paper. I would say, start to write down those things each day that make you soar, that bring you joy, that because my biggest advice as an older guy, to young kids, it's a piece of advice I didn't take right off the bat when I was young, and I wish I had. However, I didn't, and so I am who I am today. However, what was told me was, do what you love and love what you do, and you never work a day in your life. That was the advice I got. And it sounds silly, but today I believe in it wholeheartedly. Because if you do what you love and you love what you do, you'll put your full energy, focus, and self into it, and it becomes ever more powering of you and ever more powering of the joy. And you show gratitude every time something new shows up. Something goes bad, thank God, thank you for that not working out. Well, didn't you really want that? Yeah, I did, but I think there's something more. It's constantly having an understanding that this is an amazing universe that you are part and parcel of, that through you, in you, and with you things happen, that it's not just through him, with him, and in him, the old Bible preaching. It is in you. There's a divinity, and you must honor that divinity within you, that you are somehow, some way, and divine, and honor it in everything you do. And if you do that, you're going to find yourself moving forward in such a rapid way all of a sudden. So don't give up until you have focused in on something that really, really makes you not comfy and, this is cushy and I'm just going to sit on the beach the rest of my life, but something that really moves you to your own tears of joy. And if you haven't found it yet, then you keep looking and keep asking questions of other people, what they do, what do they like about it, what don't they like about it, and see where your skills and your talents are in the midst of it, and bring that forth, and it will blossom. You'll feed the seed and it will grow.
Wonderful. That's a perfect quote. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for calling. Appreciate it. Thank you. Take care. We're coming up to the end of the hour. We only got about a minute and a half, but it's crazy how quickly this goes. But I did want to mention that because you were saying, do what you love. You'll never work a day in your life. But what some people don't, the part that they miss a lot of times, because I know we both do work that we absolutely love. We both, right. I mean, both of us, maybe slightly differently, but we do it. We just love the work. But it doesn't mean it's a cakewalk either.
No.
So
not at all.
Yeah, right. Not at all. Absolutely not at all. So I think sometimes people think it's going to be, because if they're doing something they love, it's going to be easy, and it's not. Right. So yeah, just because it's not easy doesn't mean it's not the right path either.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Very good. So I know I'll come up really quickly here. I just want to give out Joe's website again, josephshiel.com. Make sure you get on his email newsletter. And he's a wonderful spirit artist and medium. And if you're a medium or and you're looking for some training, he's a wonderful mentor. You definitely want to check him out. And thank you so much, Joe. This has been wonderful. And I learned something from you every time you open your mouth. So thank you. I want to have you back on again.
Congratulations on your show. Congratulations on your show. I think it's wonderful, and thank you for bringing such good people to so many who need, who are needing and seeking things, and it's just great. You're the perfect one for this. So God bless you for that. I just think it's great, and thank you for having me on. I am honored. Appreciate it.
The honor is all mine. Have a great week, everybody. My next guest next week is psychic medium John Holland. I'll talk to you in a week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Start your day with a positive affirmation and intention. Since 1924, Daily Word Magazine has offered inspiration and practical teachings through daily prayer messages to help people of all faiths. Your subscription includes 2 months of daily affirmations, articles, and spiritual poetry to keep you inspired and motivated. Check out the digital subscription package that includes the online magazine with audio, smartphone app, and daily email. Get your subscription today. Visit dailyword.com or unity.org.